Welcome back to another episode of a Modern Nonprofit Podcast. I'm your host, Tosha Anderson, and I want to talk directly to you as an audience today about something that I keep seeing in the news: recession, recession, recession. Financial recession is on its way. Economic recession, I should say, is on its way. And I have a lot of our clients asking, what should we be doing to prepare for this if this is actually going to happen? And my initial gut is don't panic. We've been through this before. I've worked with nonprofit organizations over the last 15 years, and we've definitely seen some ups and downs along the way. That is certainly the case. And because I've been through some of those ups and downs and seen how nonprofits tend to fare in those economic downturns, I thought I would give a few of my kind of observations, tips, tricks, and just, general things to consider if your organization is worrying about this alleged recession that's on its way. So a few things that I would recommend right out of the gate. Number one, and I always preach this, I'm just going to reinforce a lot of these topics: assess your cash flow. Understand, is your organization bringing in more money than it is spending in a sustainable way? If you are trending where you're spending more than you're bringing in and you're whittling down those savings accounts, you're living on borrowed credit through operating loans, lines of credit, credit cards, or anything like that, I strongly encourage you to stop and figure out how you can flip that around to be bringing in more money than you're spending in some sort of longer term over the course of a year, certainly. So that's step number one: assess your cash flow. Make sure you're bringing in more money than you're spending or projecting to spend. Next thing, again, something I always preach, but I'm going to reinforce that: keeping your debt to a minimum. Not just debt from the health of your balance sheet, but really understanding, what is this debt costing me? How much cash am I tying up by having these debt payments? This doesn't apply to just businesses. Certainly individuals should be doing the same thing. So keep your debt to a minimum. Reassess whether you can pay that debt off, eliminating those payments, or maybe restructure some of those agreements to make your debt obligations, meaning your monthly payments, even less. So talk to your bankers and figure out if that makes sense for your organization. So that's number two: keep your debt to a minimum, always. Next is increase liquidity. What do I mean by that? Increasing liquidity is increasing your ability to tap into cash when you might need it in very short term, right? And so oftentimes what we think about liquidity is the money in our savings account. Make sure you have at least 30 to 90 days of cash on hand. If you don't have cash on hand at least 30 days, figure out a way to start saving, cutting back, and developing a savings plan to get your cash balance to at least 30 days. And I'm not talking about 30 days on your very best day right before that payroll hits. I'm talking about on your worst day, after the last payroll hits and before your funding comes in. Make sure you have at least 30 days on hand. So number one, assess cash flow. Number two, keep debt minimum. Three, increase liquidity. Make sure you have a bank balance. For those organizations that have investments, I am not an investment advisor. I cannot pretend to be an investment advisor, but certainly if you know something significant is going to happen to the economy, definitely check with your investment advisor. Make sure that your investment strategy is being followed, and reassess whether you need to be investing in less risky investments if that's the approach that your organization has taken historically. So definitely check that out. Only two more that I have on my list right now. Make the ask now. Talk to your long-term funders. Tell them what your plans are and get those commitments, and ask for those funds ahead of time. Let's not wait till the end of the year. Start locking in your fundraising plan earlier rather than later. So make that ask. Don't be afraid, and start making those connections with your longstanding donors right away. And kind of along those same lines, create a solid fundraising plan. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with individuals that are running nonprofit organizations, and they simply think, well, we've raised $250,000 last year. We think we're going to try to nudge that up to 10% increase next year, right? Without actually identifying what are the sources of those monies coming from, right? So I really encourage you to put together a plan. Actually look at who gave you money last year. Who do you think is going to give you money this year? And those dollars that have not been accounted for yet, try to strategize how you're going to come up with those dollars. This gives you a really clear indication month by month. Hey, if we're behind $10,000 from our fundraising goal at this point in the year, is there a specific reason? Did we not get a grant? Is that a timing difference, meaning the funder is just going to, make payments later on in the year? Or is it a permanent difference, meaning we didn't get the grant this year and we need to find out another plan? And really, all of this boils down to knowing your numbers. No business, including nonprofit businesses, cannot operate without knowing their numbers. So those are some of my strategies to survive this looming economic recession that everybody keeps talking about. And if you have any questions, or if your nonprofit needs more help with accounting or bookkeeping, feel free to jump on over to www.thecharitycfo.com to hear a little bit more about the Charity CFO, which is a boutique accounting firm specifically for nonprofits, and how they are helping the nonprofit organizations. Thank you all so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.